Welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level.
Relax.
Welcome. Hello, Sarah Poole. Hey.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining me on your debut on the Tourism Podcast, a podcast for exactly women and humans like yourself. In tourism, in business, you are hit with the entrepreneurial shtick, doing multiple different things, and also on a journey. And speaking of that journey, just watching you from afar and landing on your website, sarahpoole.com.au, for anybody that is just meeting and hearing of Sarah for the first time, I'm inspired and I'm grateful that I have you in front of me and we can have the opportunity to have this chat. So welcome.
Why, thank you. That is a very lovely intro and so happy to be here. And I love talking about business, women in business, working with good humans like you. So yes, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday, or happy any day that someone is landing on the podcast. Now, my dear Sarah, when we start here, I guess, we talk a lot about this kind of like why do we get out of bed every morning and why we do what we do. Now, there's been so much change, I know, in your personal life and in your business life. So tell me about your journey, if we start with just in the spirit of tourism and what led you down the path of, one, moving your family to a tourism destination, and also that journey in tourism and the visitor economy as it may.
Yeah, sure. Look, I think I've been a tourism person my whole life, to be perfectly honest. And I think that's about people and a deep enjoyment and connection and passion about being around people and connecting people and sharing good experience. I think as a teenager and in my early 20s, I was always in hospitality and I loved it. I was really good at it. I just really liked being around people. I felt like I knew how to anticipate needs, how to make sure people enjoyed the experience, how to give someone a smile, and all those things that I think are absolutely critical skills that set people up in business, I think, no matter what you do. And I've said that to my kids. I just think that a grounding in hospitality for anyone in business or in life actually is really, really, really great. So yeah, I think I've always been that person. Certainly wasn't where my journey took me in my professional career initially, but having sold a business, a big professional services business, in 2016, I did a few different things, and then my family and I decided to move to a very random place on the north coast of New South Wales that no one could pronounce. All of our friends and family thought we were completely nuts, and we moved to a place called Woolgoolga, and here we opened a craft brewery. And I guess craft beer is something that and my husband and I have always really loved. And having known people in that industry, I love the industry because it's collaborative, it's creative, it's about community, it's about getting people together. I think it's about all the good things that tourism really is, and I guess the things that we really enjoyed. And when we moved up here to this patch of paradise, there was not one craft brewery in our region. And I just like, are you kidding me? It's 20 degrees all through winter.
Yeah.
Why do people going to want to drink beer? So anyway, but I had certainly done some groundwork. I'd gone and worked in some breweries with people that I knew to really understand deeply what the business side of it is, because it's a big beast. It's an absolutely big beast. So yeah, it's been a journey. We've been open for just over 2 years now, and going strong.
How incredible. There's so much in that, because one, just this lead into a fruitful career when you start in hospitality. And I think in the industry, there's a big push now, and in the Thrive tourism economy, I just read that document, talk about tourism geeking out, just about how hospitality and tourism is always looked at as like the job I do while I'm in uni, but then to go do something else. But in what you've shared and what we can all resonate, we kind of starting tourism because we love people and we love, delivering great experiences. So that's so great. And you've instilled that in your in your own family and your kids. The difference, like now you've started a significant company. When you say professional services, what specifically was that? Was that
It was technology consulting. So we had 60 people across Australia and New Zealand implementing systems for business of all sizes. So from small, mum and dads up to Australian Grand Prix, Swiss Vitamins. So we helped go in and helped companies understand what their needs were, what information they needed, what gaps were in their business, and then we implemented systems to help them. So that was a far cry from making beer and
It's interesting. Why I say that is because so many startups in tourism do come with these diverse, really different backgrounds. It's more than this passion project that's within them, like you say, with yourself and your husband being craft beer enthusiasts. And what a time, because craft beer in the last little while, particularly from the time that you started, yeah, it's certainly, there's Australian wine, but yeah, what a little kind of hidden giant that was about to hit our industry from the craft beer market. So tell me about the differences, all that pulling outside of just going, how can this, and the research that you did in leading into opening it's Woolgoolga Brewery, isn't it? What's the actual?
Yeah, Woolgoolga Brewing Co. Yep.
Woolgoolga Brewing Co.
Yeah, Whoopi Brewing Co. online, because everyone here calls it Whoopi because no one wants to say Woolgoolga. It's quite a mouthful. So
yeah,
Brewing Co. So yes.
Brilliant. And in terms of what has been the journey? I mean, you're very experienced in running a business. What is it that you wish you'd known about the industry? Like, so you were researching the craft beer side of things, but have you been surprised, delighted, challenged by what you didn't know or what you've learned along the way?
Oh my gosh,
In your 2 years.
I might write a book. I may write a book.
Yeah.
It's been a huge undertaking, and I think it's not one to go into lightly, because I try and explain to people, like, it's effectively 3 or 4 businesses in one. What we do, we manufacture, we wholesale, we have a hospitality venue, which is a significant venue. We have 200 people. We sell out major events. So it really is, it's been a huge, huge undertaking, like one I would never have done by myself. So a couple of things that I did before we jumped into this venture is I got myself deep in understanding the back end of it, which is absolutely critical because it's quite a complex beast. I brought on a mentor. So Matt B from Mornington Peninsula Brewery, he had been one of the original starters of craft beer in Victoria and still runs Tar Barrel today, and he's just been amazing. So he's part of our business. I brought him on board because I knew that there was going to be 1 million things that I didn't know, and that to have someone that I could call upon, count upon, like having any good mentor or someone that you can reach out to when you're doing something new, it's been probably life-saving. I can call him at any time of the day and be like, oh God, Matt,
Yeah.
what am I going to do? It's like, it's okay, we're going to do this. So just doing that, and I think just spending lots of time understanding all the ins and outs, having done all of that, still it did not prepare me probably for the actual going live and opening and doing all those things, but it never can, right? It actually absolutely never can. And I think one thing in business that I've always had is a total belief that I can work it out. I can find people to help me work it out, or it will always be okay in the end. So challenges don't faze me too much. Difficult times, I've been through so many now. So I think, having that true grit and really just having self-belief that it's okay. Like, I'm not going to get it all right. We're going to stuff some things up, and being really open with our team. Like, honestly, when we recruited our first beautiful group of like casual staff members, basically my pitch to them was, I don't know what I'm doing, but I promise you we'll figure it all out together. So as long as you're okay with coming into this environment where stuff's going to probably, not always go to plan, but you love a good team and that you're in the right place. And I think just setting that up from the beginning, we just all had kind of fun with it, right? We just were in it together. And I think that was a really nice way to do it.
So important in a lot of things. You've gone and done your due diligence with your research. So you didn't go in like, it's a passion project, of course, but I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to do everything I can to be eyes wide open. Something that's been coming up a lot, I'm actually just writing something about just the importance. And Sally, who I did another interview about, doing a really big, scary thing, like putting all hands in the middle, and like there was that when there's this point of no return, I'm going in all in on this, that finding someone ahead of the way from you that's been there to assist, that reaching out to a mentor, but not only just any mentor. What I've loved what you've done, you've reached out to someone that's done exactly what you want to achieve and brought them on to the team early on. I think that's really, really brilliant, and why we're having this conversation. Yeah, that's really, really brilliant.
Yeah, it's just critical, isn't it? I just think that, particularly in a new industry, right? Haven't been in craft beer before. I know business really well. I know people really well. I know systems. I know lots of elements, but I don't know the nuances of this particular industry. And I just think it's so critical to have someone who you can call on, who knows exactly what you're talking about, not who can kind of theorize, oh, well, maybe this, but actually go, okay, here's what we're going to do.
Yes.
So, yeah.
So brilliant. And what, I guess, for a lot of people that I think who have bubbling ideas, I'm really curious about the moment. Like, can you remember the time, or remember the feeling around like this is, because it takes, I mean, I've said this to you when I met you and you uprooted your family from Melbourne to Whoopi, and I said to you, that takes kahunas. I know you're on another level of like just going all in to do that, but in the same way, starting a craft beer business, that moment you're upper, like I'm going is, can you remember that time? Like, if you think back of that, you said, or was it a series of
No,
moments?
I think like once I put my mind to something, I'm just a hugely determined person. So I think like back when before we moved, I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is going to happen. I just like all focus, total commitment and belief at that one thing. Even when I came here and this old real estate agent was showing me around Woolgoolga, around factories in Woolgoolga, and he's like, a craft brewery will never work here.
Oh.
It just will not work. And I'm like, mate, I do not need you to tell me that. Show me the building.
Yeah.
Show me the building.
He's been your fan igniter. He just ignited the flame even more. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I think for me, it's just what I really think that once you do have a clear picture, you put enough behind it to believe, to have it in front of you, you have to commit. You just have to go all in. Don't let anything get in your way. We did have to find some investors. We had to find property. We had to go through all the council stuff. Like, it was a big, big job, but you just have to believe in it, to be perfectly honest. And I think talking about like that aha moment of like, oh, I did it. Like, we've done it, was having, I think, Katie Noonan play at the brewery in Woolgoolga last year to a sold out crowd. It was packed. She's on stage. I'm her drinking the beer we make. And I'm like, oh, wow, like we actually did this thing. Like, crazy. Katie Noonan in Woolgoolga. Like, that's random, right?
Yeah. Wow. And that's the other element. I mean, that's a whole other event business. Like, it's not only getting big names like Katie Noonan, selling those tickets, and the collaboration and partnerships that you would draw on to be able to do that. But I guess in that, like, working within the intricacies of tourism and all the different levels, how has that journey been for you in those relationships and those collaborations and partnerships?
Yeah, it's a just a one big country town up here where we are. So it's kind of like any place though, right? There's a community and everyone's connected in different ways. And I think I've always been very good at networking and figuring out who I have to speak to and just going and introducing myself. Like I decided that I wanted to get our beer at the stadium. I called the stadium manager up and said, "Hey, we want to make you guys beer. What do we need to do?" Just actually going out and putting yourself in front of people. I went and met all the people at the council. I went and met all the people at all the big chains. It really is, regardless, it's still a people business. People buy from people, and they do want, like, everyone wants to support you as long as you make it easy and you get yourself in front of them. And I think for me that's something that I enjoy. I guess going back to those hospitality roots, I like connecting with people. I can go and talk to anyone about anything, and I'm never worried about, picking up a phone and asking a random question. And I think that people appreciate it too. So, for us, we have bought like really big names in. We've made beers for stadiums up here. We have connected in lots of ways. One thing that I always say is, like, pretty much if it's a fairly random idea, but it might work, I always say yes. So everyone comes to me with like the most random things. We've had burlesque at the brewery. We've had like all these things. Like, it's not traditional, right? Like, we're in a fairly regional town where you've got your pub, you've got your RSL. They do the same thing all the time. They do it their way. So it's been pretty fun to kind of be the new kid on the block and shake it up a bit. And I think we've had a bit of fun with that as well.
Oh, how wonderful, Sarah. And in terms of like how it's changed the community, because this is placemaking as well as just a craft brewery, you've kind of put something on the map for Woolgoolga that had, known for other different things or not known, it's Coffs. Like, I never knew. I didn't even, to be honest with you, like, Coffs Harbour was a place I'd want to go to, but until there was an opportunity to be there, it's like, wow. And Woolgoolga, I don't even know if I'm saying it. I'm enjoying saying Whoopi. Like, if I'm
Whoopi.
saying it, even, yeah, Whoopi. Like, it's been just wonderful. It's placemaking. How have you feel it's been embraced or changed the community, or even people that come and visit?
Yeah,
What's the feedback you're receiving?
Yeah, people love it. So I think the community was ready for something new. I think with COVID, lots and lots of people from lots of places moved here, and I think lots of regional towns are finding this, right? So you've got a big influx of people from outside, and that certainly happened here in the last 5, and I think the next 5 is going to be even more where we are. So you've got different people coming from Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, kind of coming into this beautiful little community who are ready for that new experience. And so we certainly have been able to find that tribe, that crew of people who are looking for something else. The pub people will always be the pub people. The RSL people will always be the RSL people. It's one thing that I've learned in business. Figure out who your audience is, and it's not going to be everyone, and it's totally fine. You don't want them, right? People who come into our brewery where they want a Great Northern and they only want to pay $5 for it, it's not our crew, and it's totally fine. They go to the pub and they love it. So I think that, yeah, we've been able to find the people who are really after this unique, see it made, smell it, hear it, have great music, have a really great atmosphere. It's super family friendly. So just finding your people. And I think, yeah, we definitely are on the map. People driving through will stop by all the time. They've been following us on socials because we're pretty active on socials. We have done some amazing collaborations with beers. So some of the biggest names in beer, we have made beer with them. So we've actually got Brewdog Australia in the brewery today, which is one of the biggest craft brewers in the world, actually. And there's a connection there with our brewer. So from Rocky Ridge, WA. So it's quite amazing. You think you've got a little business in a little tiny town like Whoopi that no one knows about, but actually you can put yourself on the map if you get out there and you find ways to be a bit unique and do things differently.
Because that's you're showing and really creating a great example of collaboration at every level of your business. It's not just in getting people through the door, but even in your product collaboration, going to the big hero products in your industry and working out ways to innovate is, I'm hoping everyone that's listening to think about your business and how you can do as Sarah's done with her craft, beautiful, brewing company, Whoopi Brewing Company Co. is the same. I'm going to splash all of the handles so we can follow along the journey. Also, what I want to catch on there, something that I've been just working very much. We're digital mentoring business sisters working with a lot of small businesses. And I'm going to talk about that side of Sarah, never bored, never a dull moment, that side of your business, that you also offer mentoring support specifically to female founders. Incredible. Something, and you might find the same thing, Sarah, when speaking to businesses, I'm have to putting it as an actionable task. I need you to be going to subscribe to your local council economic development, newsletters. I want you to know the economic development person in your local community. You have to, step out of your comfort, because we've gotten into this comfort bubble that we can make all this magic happen in front of our computer. You got to go out and meet people and build these relationships with fun fact, I've put out this podcast and inviting everybody with a calendar link, and you're the only one that sees the moment to come out and have this chat. I'm having to go and, just to get people to kind of understand what we're doing here. But that just shows just why you're successful, that you just see an opportunity, you were on my list anyway to get to, but you've accelerated the whole process, even here in having this chat. So it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Action is the most important thing. It's the most important thing in business. You can have all of the plans, all of the strategies, all of the ideas, but it's the action, and it's absolutely putting yourself out there. It's the thing. And I think particularly as owners, the buck stops, right? The buck stops with you. If you don't do it, no one else is going to do it. And I just think that it's part of the job. It should be in your job description. If you're a founder, owner, whatever, if you've got those titles, you have to get out there. You have to let people know who you are, what you're doing, how they can help you. They actually do want to. Like I said, you've just got to make it easy. I think when I first moved up here, the very first trip that I did before we bought a house and made the random decision to be here, I invited myself to the Business Women's Network lunch, total blow-in from Melbourne. Turned up to this lunch. All these women were like, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" I'm like, "No, I know how to tell how good a town is. It's here." And they were so welcoming and so lovely. And I'm pretty sure then I was telling everyone I'm going to open a brewery in Woolgoolga. They're like, yeah, whatever. But it's getting yourself out there 100%.
Oh, what a good, incredible example of that. And it's hard. I remember a small business commissioner saying you don't go into business to have an easy life. And it's true, but you have to be wired that way, that's the only way that you enjoy life, that these challenges and taking action, always doing something that's uncomfortable. And here's a perfect example, because even what you've been able to achieve in quite a, because if you think about it, from when you landed to not only settling in with a family plus starting a whole new business is extraordinary, Sarah. And speaking of extraordinary, you also offer help to businesses. So if you look up Sarah Poole, Poole, there's an E at the end, .com.au, you'll just say, I'm loving this website, just checking out, like you're very clear on helping other female founders like yourself. Tell me about that journey. And I'm going to preempt also, like, I'm sure you get this a lot, where you find the time to do what you're doing, and also be mentoring, and also doing, this other work that you, helping others through your coaching, mentoring and training programs.
Yeah, look, my business journey's been pretty incredible, and I've learned, 20 plus years of actual hands-on business experience. Like, you can't beat that. And I really love business. I love all the elements of it. I love when things come together and you just, it rolls and it feels good and the message is right and the customers are happy. Like, it's great. That's why we all got into it in the first place. And I think from, professional services, then I was in a Shark Tank business, which is a whole other thing. And then I joined them at the day after they got a deal, and we took them national in 12 months. And then I started a women's health platform. Like, all this amazing experience, like many failures as well along the way, but all this great, rich experience. It's the way I can offer service to women in business. And the reason that I have focused on women, particularly in business, because I've been there. And actually, I think that there are a lot of amazing, incredible, intelligent, smart, go-getting women who are looking for the way through their own journey. And and you're right, it comes in seasons, and it's not always easy, particularly throwing families, throwing life in general, throwing all the other things. And I just think we take on way more than anyone else does. We also have the capacity to do, I think, way more than anyone else does. And sometimes we just need people who get it, who've been there, to give a little bit of guidance, to, give some, even just provide community. So I just think that given all the things that I have done, like, that's the least I can do. And I know that I can help. I know that I can help people.
It's so important. I think just something that keeps coming out. And I know for myself, if it wasn't for investing skin in the game to find a mentor in someone like yourself back 10 years ago, when I took the leap of just scratching the itch and going, I can't get on with life until I pursue this. It definitely, if anybody's it's a crossroad, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a crossroad that you might find yourself, like, you don't have to do it alone. And just having someone like Sarah by your side to champion you, encourage, and also just put a bit of a business shtick, like, just sometimes we also need a bit of, like, okay, you've got to stop and go, like that element of having someone just to help you take that next step in action that can be paralyzing when you're in that zone.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be some hard truths sometimes, right? Like, I'm certainly not a fluffy person. And I think directness is, it's something that I just am, and I don't sugarcoat many things, but I absolutely understand where people are coming from. But sometimes there's hard conversations to be had, and sometimes there's reality of where you are in business and actually having to do things that maybe you don't want to do.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to procrastinate, to not want to do those things, but often you need someone who's prepared to, I think, look you in the eye and be like, hey, okay, let's have a chat about that, and call you on it sometimes and hold you a bit accountable. And we all need it. It doesn't matter what size your business is. It doesn't matter how long you've been in business, whether you're a startup or you've been around for 10 years. Like, I've got the range of, customers that I have is from one end of the spectrum to the other. It doesn't matter. It's just about what do you need at your journey, that point in your journey to get you to the next stage.
Absolutely. And those, I guess, just when, even for yourself, if you reflect on challenging times that you've had and you've been, how do you, apart from you've got your own mentor, are there any strategies for anyone that might be listening that is feeling they're procrastinating? There's all this. I mean, I know myself sometimes. My husband has to say, like, can you stop it? Like, that you do so much, but it's not enough for me. I'll go at the end of the day and I'm not done. I'm always kind of like, you got no idea what's in his brain as much as I try to, right? Like, I don't know.
Totally.
Like, we've just, like, this. What would be your, from any stage of the journey? I think even when you're talking about more established businesses, but feeling stuck or feeling challenged, what comes to mind as some of your own personal greatest challenges and how you've been able to go, you know what, there's a solution for everything, and how you've overcome it?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think just even talking about the brewery, like when we opened the first weekend after lockdown. We were dealing with all of the COVID issues, all of the mask wearing, small
Oh,
groups,
yes.
policing. Then we had 5 months of rain and flood. And then we had, like, honestly, it was a baptism of fire. And I think that what really got me through that and will get me through most things, just having a super clear plan, just having a very, very clear plan and just doing the next thing. The one thing that I say most to other business owners is don't overthink it. Just don't overthink it. One day at a time, tick it off, move on to the next thing. It's super easy to get caught up in your own brain and your own whatever's going on in there. You know, we know that that's part of the biggest challenge of being a business owner is getting out of that head and actually just getting the next step done. And it's not always the perfect step, but it's the next step and it builds momentum. So I think for me, just having a really clear plan. I plan out my week, like my week's super planned. On a Friday, my whole next week's planned. I know exactly my 3 priorities for each day. So then at least every day, the 3 things are done. There might be 57 things on that list, but my top 3 that I need to do are my priority. And then at least I've progressed, right? Because I've put maybe they're the most challenging things, maybe they're the most important things, but they're done. The rest, yes, I would love to get to, maybe I haven't. So I think sometimes it's just super boring, practical stuff like that. Just get it out of your head, get it on paper, have a system, have a process, and then yes, have a support network. Have someone you can call and be like, hey, this is what's going on. Can you help me out? And that might just be another business owner, right? It might be someone who you can have the honest conversations with, because something that I have found is like can be pretty lonely being at the top and being the one person responsible. You might not want to talk to your husband about it. You can't talk to your staff about some things. So it can be quite isolating. And I think that having someone or a group of people who can just be totally open and honest with and who can help you navigate a bit is critical. So I think that, yeah, they're my tips.
Super helpful to me right now, because I always try plan the week on a Sunday. When the stars are aligned on a Sunday, it
No one wants
works.
to do that on a Sunday.
But on a Sunday, but then, yeah, you're just open to so much. But of course, that's just hit me like a freaking, like the lightning that we just had recently. Like, do it on a Friday when you've got the space
Yeah,
and you
close your
enjoy
week
your
out.
weekend more.
Yep. Yeah, and
Yeah.
I use some tools. Like, I think that was something that we were talking about, like being really smart with the tools and systems that you use. I use Monday in all my businesses. I love it. It helps me organize and allocate and delegate and keep track of things. So my week on a Friday, I look at my week ahead. I put every task into every day. Then I can move it if I need to. I set the priorities. I will task other people with things. So delegating them to other people and knowing that on a Friday. But that's right. Then most of the time I can have like a clear weekend and just do things that I want to do. And then by Monday, I'm not in my head on Monday morning or Sunday night trying to think what's happening this week. I'm already done that. I'm in it.
Well, I'm going to take action at the time of this recording. It is a Friday, and it's a no-brainer. See, like, just plan your week out on a Friday for the next week. And I like what you've said as well, just in terms of like the systems. And I'll talk about it because now I'm just curious. Because that's Monday.com in terms of your project management and task setup. So good. And I'm curious about, because something that was very prominent about your region and your area is the very strong First Nations connection. There's a very strong First Nation like as a non. I always think about that in our industry. We're trying to really, from our cultural perspective, what's been your journey to bring that element into your business along the way? Or is that something that it's a work in progress for many others that are very green, particularly in where we are in Victoria? We're not as advanced in product development and also integrating a First Nations story or connection, I should say, not even a story, just a connection to our First Nation. What's been that like in your business?
Look, I think you're absolutely right. And coming from Victoria myself, I totally agree. Like, it's a whole different thing up here, and it's been beautiful and really fantastic to see that there are these regions who are super strong, so proud of their heritage and so connected to the culture. It's wonderful. So everyone up here talks about that we're on Gumbaynggirr land, and that it's a thing that you do, right? You talk about it in your business, you connect to it, it's absolutely fantastic. And I think everywhere you go, there is the welcome to country. Like, it's absolutely brilliant. I guess it's something that it's a work in progress for our business. Other businesses that I work with are doing it brilliantly. And as I said, I think in terms of connection to place and being very proud of what's come before you, and flying that absolute flag that that shows everyone, what you're all about. It's beautiful. And I think, as many businesses can do that, they absolutely should. Something that we're working on.
Oh, definitely, and it's something that I noticed in the region. There was WA, and then when I came into your patch, just how far advanced the connection was. Even you being so fluent in knowing, exactly what the, what your, what your country, the Indigenous land is, I think speaks volumes of that journey that you've been on. And to that point, also in the planning, in challenges and in crisis, at the moment, I have been heavily involved in what quality tourism looks like. And for as much as we can ignore what the strategic planning, because we're all hands-on and just doing things as we go, but taking the time as you have to have the plans in place. I mean, there is an element when your back's up against the wall, especially where we're dealing with Mother Nature and crisis in different forms. Having thought about it will put you in, and having a plan in place will put you in much better stead than going on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, fundamentally for me, good tourism is thinking about the customer. It's just actually imagining that you are them. And
Spot on.
if it was me coming to my brewery, what would I want? And if I can tick all my boxes, then I've done a great job. And we always say, I think if you are doing a great job at what you do, it doesn't matter what it is, you just need to get that person in the door the first time. Because once they see it and experience it and feel it, they should want to go out and tell everyone else. They should want to bring people back. They should want to leave you a review. That's good business. And that's the one thing that, we've worked with our team so hard on is it's the experience. We want to see people being like, wow, like I didn't expect this. It's like, good. Like,
yes.
That's great. That's what we want. And I just think, we work really hard on anticipating needs of people before they ask for something. Give them the thing before they say, do the thing. And I just think they're little bits, right? But I know for myself, when I have a great customer experience, I tell people about it, and it's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard. It's like, wow, this thing happened the other day. It was amazing. And I just think it's not that hard to stand out in the crowd. And I think if that's a pillar of your business, and if you can work with your team on that one thing alone, then you'll be leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. And I'm so like, in finding the right people to deliver an experience as you would, what do you look for in people, and in training your team on that delivery? Because it is something that is really challenging for business owners when they are stretched, and they like to do that end to end, and forgetting about that heart center of what it is that we're here, and the people. Like you said, at the end of the day, without them, we have no business as a customer or in our team. So what is it that you look for intrinsically in the humans that you bring on to your teams across the board? I mean, I'm sure there's,
It's personality. I think particularly in hospitality, it's people who have a little bit of light in them, and that's the best way I can explain it. We have got, lots of people in our region say how hard it is to get stuff, and we haven't had that experience. I just think that if you find the right people, you look after them, you give them the training they need, they want to stick around, right? So for me, yeah, it's a lightness. It's as someone who walks in, you're like, I want to be around you. We work in hospitality. This should be fun. It is business, but it should also be a positive space to be in. Well, I can teach you all the other things. I can teach you how to use a till. I can teach you but if you're good with people and you have that type of personality that people want to be around, it's the first tick. And then it's all the other bits and pieces. But it's the biggest thing that we've seen so far. Like, we've got people of all nationalities working with us at the moment. We have the most amazing Korean bartender, and he's just like a little ball of sunshine. That's the only way I can explain it. Look, he's amazing, and he loves his job. And I just think it's those people, like, when they come to the bar, they kind of light up because he's already happy. And so how can you start with people that make people feel good? I think for a hospitality space, that's what I look at. And for other business, I just think life's too short to be around people who don't want to be at work, who don't have the same, who don't understand what you're trying to do, who don't have the same passion. So just be around good humans. Like, for me, that it's the one thing. And if they're not the right fit, they're not the right fit. And I don't know, I think too many people don't have the difficult conversation. Too many people leave the wrong people in their business for too long. It has a way of just infiltrating. So it's the one thing, if I'm working with my customers, my business customers like, we always will talk about that. Just be careful of the people and the culture that's cultivating around you, and just, be mindful of it. Because if you leave it, it can get out of hand.
So true. Because sometimes if it's not the right light, the unteachable, if it's not there, there's always, and I know with a lot of businesses, and we've been there too, that it's like, oh, I know it's not the right attitude, or that wasn't the right way, but XYZ, try to justify why you would hang on, but not realizing that it has to be addressed, and have that difficult conversation, and make that decision as a business owner to move people on in those instances for the betterment of everyone.
It feels difficult, right? But when it's done, and if that person does decide, or whatever happens, you feel relieved, and that it's the right decision because that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's also something where mentoring comes into a big play to help navigate that, if it's because I know that challenges many people. We're humans, we're human beings, and we come with complexities, but seeing the light in others, I see it's also coming from the light from you. Even the way that you built a team, just saying, I don't know, we're figuring this out. That would have excited people, that I'm going on an adventure here with someone that's open to change and challenge and doing things a little bit differently. I know that would definitely, my younger self would have been right up for it. Yeah.
They just want to be a part of it. And I think that with our brewery team, we have fun. Like, at all of our staff meetings, we do product. Like, we drink beer, we taste beer, we really talk about what we need to know, right? It's not enough to be behind a bar and just be serving. Like, they really need to understand the journey. They can go in and brew with our brewer. We are super open. Every meeting we have is like, we want to hear your ideas. There is no stupid idea that you can bring us. Our expectation is that this business always gets better, is that we always improve. We always find a new way to wow someone. So any idea, whether it's from our kitchen staff, from our glasses, it really doesn't matter. And I think that building that type of culture where people feel seen and heard, and they see different things to what you see, I just think it's a really great way to make everyone feel like they've got a contribution, and like they're part of this thing that's growing and changing.
And what another big game changer, like it is. I mean, I think across the board, it's something about staff, hiring staff, keeping staff, but going that, it doesn't take much to bring people together, engaging them and saying, feel heard, seen, like that you're actually inviting their ideas. And sometimes that's another breeding ground for innovation. And basically because they're at the front line, I think is brilliant. But putting that into a system, right? That's not leaving it as a random, when the stars are aligned, we'll get together when it fits everyone. I've no doubt you've got that as part of your system in business, that this is when we meet, this is what we talk about, and
Yeah.
keeping them inspired in terms of their own professional development.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's certainly not left to chance. And I just think so many things change, and it's always about that connection between the group of people who are working together, but it's always learning something new. And I think we've always got new things to learn, whether we're, working within a business, whether we're the business owners. And I just think never assuming that you know it all, right? That's something that I've always been so I really love talking about that with people. You absolutely will never know it all. And if you just go in curious all the time, just always go in wanting to learn new things and learn from others' experiences and perspectives, then it just creates a more well-rounded business. And for yourself as a business owner, it's nice. You're kind of always open to new things rather than thinking that you know everything. And no one wants to be around that person.
No, definitely not. And before, I could I could talk to you for the rest of the day. Before we go into our kind of little excellence round, I read on your website, walking every morning on the beach and evening. How do you keep your light on and bright to manage the responsibility in business and life? Your non-negotiables.
It's been and will continue to be an ongoing journey, but I think having this many years under my belt, it certainly wasn't always like that. I was certainly a young corporate executive of a big team who used to go in when it was dark and leave when it was dark and just do it that way and just grind. And these days I just have recognized that I have to look after myself first, and I just have a really dedicated commitment to health and well-being that enables me to then take on all the things. And I think without doing that first, without having that foundation, you just don't have the capacity. It's not possible. You can't expect yourself to do it. So for me, I exercise most days. I'm, very committed to a mindfulness practice, because I think, like we said, there's so much going on. It's really easy to get caught up in your own head, but being still is something I was never great at. I'm still working on, but trying to find time to be still and just actually sit in the moment and think about what's important, have some clarity on what I need to do, rather than just, constantly being in the juggle, in the grind. I think that they're just skills that they should teach at business school. They should teach at school. They're not, but they really, really should. So, for women that I work with, it's really the place I start, regardless of where they're at. How are you? Before we talk about business, how are you doing? Because if you're not good, your business is generally not good. It absolutely has to go hand in hand. So, for anyone listening, then I just think, investing in yourself is, your best asset in your business by far. If you're not there, things are going to not work out so well. So, you put lots of time and energy into everything else. You really need to reprioritize for yourself, because it makes you enjoy things a little bit more too, right? We're not just here to pump out work and do all the hard things. It should be enjoyable in the process. Yes, challenging, yes, stuff, but also fun. So if you can get yourself to a place where you are feeling healthy and strong, and you're not totally chockers in your brain, and you're present, all of these things just really help help how you run a business, help how you take things on. So it's a journey. It's a continuing journey. I definitely don't have it all right yet, but certainly have got a lot of things in place to help me do all the things.
And success leaves clues, and looking at what you've achieved, things, your constant pursuit of being better, you can see is you know, the rewards are there through the actions that you've taken along the way. And you're right on. There's no success without starting with you. Like, and certainly in my personal and professional journey and going through it right now, I left it. I left my needs at the door, and it just, yeah, it's a snowball. Then it starts everything else before you know it. Yeah. I'm on a journey. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
getting
so
into my
straight from the
clothes.
beach.
I'm not.
Do you know what, though? I
Yeah.
think also we shouldn't beat
Yeah.
ourselves up. And,
Yeah.
we go through stages or phases or whatever,
Oh,
seasons, whatever you want to
yes.
call it, right? And so at any point, you just be like, it's
Yes.
okay.
It's
That's not
okay.
what I want.
Yes.
I'm just going to draw this
Oh,
in the sand here, and I'm just going to go from here.
so true. Oh, definitely. There's no one I've beaten up more than myself.
Oh, yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah, total. Yeah, bashing. But it resonates, and it's absolutely true. You know, we talk about quality tourism and quality tourism businesses, or just businesses, you know, just business in general, having business that's excellence. But if we're not performing at that same, I guess, you know, at that same barometer of standard or excellence in ourselves, we can't. We're not gonna. But I like what you said. Like, just to see the full potential in what you're doing is never gonna ensue if it doesn't start with you.
Yeah.
And in the seasons of change and transformation, you know, when everything has worked, there's been an element of that being centered. Yeah,
Yeah.
health and
And
well-being. Health
yeah,
is wealth.
it will change, right? It'll change just depending on how old you are, where your kids are, all of those things. It will determine what you need and what's right for
Oh,
you and what's good for you. And I just think you have to listen to yourself and go with what that is, not what everyone else says, not what everyone else does, just what's good for you.
what's good
And
for
be okay.
you.
Yeah.
And that's so true too, where all of your, you know, it's a dance. It's not even a, you know, we talk about work-life balance, but you're just dancing with the moment of where you're at, because it's change. It changes. It
Yeah. Yeah.
changes.
Yeah. There's no
Ah,
balance. That's
no
fine.
balance. No balance. Just dancing. Have fun with it. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's a slow dance. Sometimes it's full on techno. Sometimes you're rapping. Sometimes you're on the floor spinning on your head. I've never said that before, by the way. It's my new one, work-life dance.
I 100% agree with you. When people say they work-life balance, I'm like, it's such a load of rubbish.
Oh,
So
it's never
untrue.
balanced.
No, it's not.
No, that's it. We're going to go with that. Will be our new hashtag, work-life dance. So we're going to go into like just how to just fire off to finish this off and close off this wonderful chat that I've been looking forward to so much and unpack with you. So what was holding you back in the beginning? If you think of the beginning of your first business, what would you think was holding you back?
Oh, I think in early days, it was always just around self-belief and just actually knowing that I could do it, right? I just think thinking and worrying about what everyone else was thinking and worrying about, rather than me actually just being true to knowing what I could do and just backing myself and being okay with failing. So yes, me, just belief.
Just belief. Now, when it comes to the best advice you've ever received, can you think about one or many of the best advice you've ever had?
Look, I think it's all about for me, it's the don't overthink it. It's something someone said to me once, and it's really about, and I guess that comes back to a bit of intuition and being okay with failing a bit, not having to have it perfect, but just get it done. Like, just do it. Don't overthink it, just do it. And for me, that's just been one of the things where if I can just focus on that and just do one thing at a time, then I'm just consistently moving forwards. And I think the other thing is probably just around people and just having good people around and treating people really well. It's the number one thing in business that has led me to be successful, I think, time and time again. And just, just be around good people and treat people really well.
Love. Now, you've shared your Monday.com, and I've just with in terms of an internet resource, is there anything else that's your go-to that's on the daily you couldn't live without that helps you run your day and your responsibilities?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. I use Notion, which is a kind of a note-taking tool because I run two businesses and I have 7 million ideas. And I think part of this whole process of getting out of your own head is having somewhere for all of that great info to go and not feeling like you have to carry it around all the time. So whatever it is for you, but that tool for me, just I've got it broken down into different areas. And when I think of something, I can just pop it in there and it shows up everywhere. So just get out of your head, get those great ideas somewhere, have them
Brilliant.
organized so that you can access. That for me has been a great tool. I also love Chat GPT
Yeah.
because it doesn't do my work for me, but it helps me formulate frameworks for things. And I think that's what people are really finding. It's not a replacement and it doesn't do it for you, but it really helps structure things and gets you started. So if you're stuck and procrastinating on things, I just find that's a good tool to be like, oh, okay, well, that's an interesting way. I wouldn't say it like that, or it's not really my things, but it's enough for me to do the thing. I do a lot of content writing, helping people do things. So for me, that tool's been awesome in the last 12 months.
Oh, so talk about change. It's just helped business owners, I think wherever you sit, it just helps accelerate your thoughts that you can sit on, to just as that first draft. So Notion, and we've got Monday and Chat GPT. Your personal habit, I mean, we've explored a lot of what makes you a game-changing woman in business, but some personal habits that you find have really contributed to your success.
Personal habits. It's around health. It's absolutely around health and looking after myself. So I know I couldn't do what I do if I wasn't as healthy as I am. And so it's a priority for me. I make time every morning to give to myself and do have a husband who's fully supported that. So when the kids were younger, he would, do the bits. But it's really around making sure that I'm fit and healthy, that whatever I've got to do, at least I've carved that time out for myself as well at the start of the day, and then I can get on and do the other things. So I think that, and the other one would just be, really good communication. Like no one is in the dark about what I'm thinking or where I'm at or what's going on. I'm very good at that business flow and just making sure that at all those check-in points, whatever your business is, it looks different for every business, but my check-in points are there. So no one's ever wondering, what do I need to do? What's important? What's not important? What's our plan for the week? That's the other thing for me that has really probably let the businesses that I work within do what they need to do if I'm not there.
Brilliant. And that's the biggest clue, seeing like how does she fit it in all? Like you've got good systems to support your growth and explore other itches, like in your servitude, in loving people and helping people, and also knowing as a female founder that same bit or very different in terms of like how you can help. The way that you've been able to carve out that business and side of yourself is because you've got all these checks and balances in place. Brilliant. A book that you would recommend to our tourism hubbers that have made an impact on you? Can you think of a book?
I've got one here. Funny you should ask.
Yeah.
I've just been reading Small Habits for a Big Life by Dr. Rebecca Ray, and this one popped up because someone else had recommended it, and I just think it's got great little tips, and I just think a really nice way to think about how to shift your barometer from one destination to another is doing it in little chunks. And I just think if you, like with everything, right, sometimes it feels too big, but if you just change things by a degree every day, one little degree, then suddenly you're on a total different trajectory. And I just think that little tips like this, it's a fantastic way to think about it. So just kind of pick it up and flick through it, but I've really been enjoying that.
Oh, fantastic. Small Habits, Big Life. Your absolute favorite holiday destination and why that you would recommend if you think about a holiday that you've had or an experience?
Oh, I've had so many. I love
Yeah.
traveling. I found that one I saw that and I'm like, oh, I don't even know.
Yeah.
But two places that I would go to again and again is Sri Lanka. I just love the people, the place. It's very diverse. It's it's beautiful, and you can do all the bits there. Surf, mountains, tea. It was beautiful. Very like lots of rich culture, lots of rich history. My family and I loved that, and I love New Zealand. I just love New Zealand. Take me
Yeah.
there any week. It's just so breathtakingly beautiful. So yeah, for me, if I was going to pick two quickly, they would be my choices.
And experiences, when you think of other operators, attractions, like can you think of experiences, whether it was in Sri Lanka or New Zealand, that you've had that left you feeling better, different, transformed? Can you think of anything that comes
Look,
to
for
mind?
me, it's always being like in the thick of it. So it's not necessarily, having been on a particular tour, but I just love being in amongst it. And I just
Yeah.
think wherever you can go, where you can see it, touch it, feel it, talk to people, that's my favorite type of experience. So whatever that looks like, I've been to some very amazing places, but when I think about, oh, wow, that moment in that trip, it was always in those times. So I think wherever you can give people bits of that of your business, bits of that of your experience, just make it rich and make it memorable. That would be it for me.
That's the thing, isn't it? When it comes to memory making, experience making, and in our industry, you say Sri Lanka, now we're curious, like we go, oh, this feeling, you walked away with the feeling of good. It was all the touch points. And that's why when we talk about how you deliver and value people, we need to all be on the same page to evoke the same destination brand of like, you must go there because everything is great. The way our family felt. We are our businesses are one part of the tiny piece of the puzzle, but we have to be as a collective delivering these services to put our places on the map. So good. So good.
Oh,
So,
to talk about. Have we
so
got
much
something
we can
more
talk
else?
about. I have to just go, oh, this other thing, but I've got to wrap it up. We'll have to do a phase 2 and 3 because I think we certainly have come together, even just from the digital geekness of ourselves and what we're learning in that. I think we could definitely come back and have another chat about that element. But in terms of, I will add all of the contacts. We've got Sarah Poole with an E on the end.com.au. We've got Whoopi Brewing Co.com. It's like Whoopi, not as in Whoopi Goldberg, WOOPI, brewingco.com.au. And all of your socials. And Sarah, you're on LinkedIn and you're on Insta and all of and everywhere. A parting piece and guidance for our fellow experience makers as we have to unfortunately wrap this up.
For me, it's just really put yourself in your customer's shoes. Like if that's the one thing that you can just think about every time you walk into your venue, every time you talk to your staff, every time you think about creating a marketing piece, every time you think about doing anything, think about putting yourself in your customer's shoes and see it through their eyes. Is this what they really want to know? Is this what they want to see? Is this going to give them the experience that's going to be the best for them? I just think if you can do that, then everything else will flow on.
Drop the mic on that one. That's what we'll wrap up our work-life dance for today. Sarah, thank you so much for making this happen. You made this happen because you're an action woman. And like I said, you deserve all of the success you've achieved and that you are going to achieve. You're not anywhere near done. And also helping other female founders and humans. I mean, I think you helped many even just in this conversation. And we're connected now. Can't get rid of me. I'll be always following you with great interest and look forward to our paths crossing again really soon.
Thanks, Despina.
Thanks, everyone. That's a wrap.
Relax.